And we are live for some Week 5 Chair League action here on Towers of Doom. My name's Terrace Baz, and I'm here to bring you a heated contest in Division 1 between the Mighty Cucks and Luxorian Sun. Mighty Cucks throwing out a quick ban on Zarya, represented by Nova here, since Zarya is not quite available, on Top Drafter yet. So with a lot of concentrated heroes in small areas, Zarya can just unload a lot of damage, and perhaps another more practical reason, she's been out for 8 days now, and some people haven't been in a game with her at all, and just may not know how to deal with that. Malfurion going to be the ban for Luxorian Sun, and what a rise to power! A few months ago, you wouldn't even consider taking Malfurion in Hero League, Chair League, anywhere in Heroes of the Storm, other than Quick Match, to level him up, because he was almost, without question, near the bottom of the barrel in terms of available supports. And now, somehow, through tweaking on Blizzard's behalf, Malfurion is a threat to behold. I mean, if Malfurion's coming towards you, you better head for the hills, because your ass is about to be grass, quite literally. Mighty Cucks picking up Li Ming as their first hero, a good, very versatile option. There's not many teams that she fits bad in. Being able to unload a lot of damage and safely poke from a lot of different directions with not a whole lot to stop her. And oddly enough, with her recent orb change, that just got a little easier. You can thread your orb in from farther away through narrower spaces, so if you're on point, it's a lot easier to get that orb where you want it to go now, even if it's not hitting as many things. Thrall and Brightwings are going to be the first pickups for Luxorian Sun. Luxorian Sun clearly with support on the mind, banning Malfurion and picking up Brightwing in the first round. Thrall's going to be able to just command the point and stand toe-to-toe with nearly anybody Mighty Cucks can throw at him. As long as he's able to swing that giant hammer of his, and Brightwing can be there in a flash to assist him. Brightwing, a very strong hero on this map, especially with the objectives requiring a lot of rotations from the team, and some of them not knowing where you're going to have to go. Being able to just be at your teammate regardless is a strong way to stay ahead in experience, and to and even if it's a multi-shrine capture, you can help to capture one and then just be at the other one as soon as it's safe to go. Ariel and Alarak, the pickups for the Mighty Cucks. Ariel can do a whole lot here if she can keep her crown set up correctly between Li Ming and Alarak. Both heroes can unload a lot of damage in a flash, so if she can keep that crown bouncing, she'll always have heals ready to go. And to be honest, I don't know a ton about Alarak. I know that he has shown up in some games, and he has killed me several times, and I have killed him several times, and I know just the basest mechanics of his toolkit. So if Mighty Cucks have a player on their side that's comfortable playing him, then they may be able to deliver some tactics that can catch Luxorian Sun off guard. What those tactics are, we'll just have to find out. You and me together, audience. You and me. ETC, the ban from Luxorian Sun. Clearly worried about just collecting a bunch of heroes together in one place for orbs to come in, for a counterattack to come through, for a big sweeping strike, and all around just a good, solid tank that can plug in well to a lot of teams. Chen, the ban for the Mighty Cucks. Luxorian Sun haven't tipped their hand a great deal into what they're doing now, and having Operation Chen could work out. They have Thrall, who can kind of stand for himself briefly, Chen, who can do so almost indefinitely, and if they had a big supporting cast, that would that could represent a reasonable Chen build. Admittedly, Chen, another hero I don't have a ton of experience with, mostly barrel antics. Luxorian Sun now pretty deep in the tank here to figure out their third and fourth picks, and this is a stage of the draft where it's really hard. You don't have a lot after this, so you need to if you're going for some sort of weird strategy, you have to consider deploying it now to make sure it works. That you can get the support you need to pull that off. And Muradin, who just became changed so that he's really good at starting fights and a lot less good at escaping fights, is going to be able to stand and can combo sort of well with Brightwing, being that his health pool's so big and he can worry about himself independently. He doesn't need to be babysit by Brightwing to keep his health pool up. It's a fairly strong selection for Luxorian Sun. And Zagara, their first big range damage dealer, like Brightwing, able to be everywhere you want her to be, and can poke and delay and keep those fights going for as long as possible. Mighty Cucks down to their final pick, still missing a fairly strong frontliner and something else to go with it. They could go double warrior here, but with so many off the table now, that might be a tall order. So they may be going for the single point to sort of hold the line, and that seems like exactly what they're going to do. As Sergeant Hammer is pick number 4, someone who's just going to set up a zone of discouragement, going to set up a discouragement zone to try to convince Luxorian Sun that maybe they don't want that particular shrine. Maybe they don't want to take a boatload of damage on the way in. And it doesn't look like Luxorian Sun have a team that's really well set up for diving into Hammer to get past Johanna and Alarak. And so that could pay off very well for Mighty Cucks. They've got the only real... Zagara can rain down some damage onto Sergeant Hammer, but to be honest, since the Baneling change, I don't really know how that matchup has fared here recently. Could still be in Zagara's favor, but it is going to take some time, and Mighty Cucks have a whole lot of damage to throw out that Luxorian Sun may not have time to dawdle and poke and do an extended skirmish with Zagara against Hammer. Luxorian Sun down below 15 seconds trying to figure out what they're going to do to round out this team. They can go a whole bunch of different options. They can stick someone in the front. They can have somebody fire and from the back. They could have some weird Bizarro thing, but they're going to go with a pretty safe follow pick into Johanna, so she will run into the blinds of Johanna's big bright shield, but that's... that's really the only punishment there, so a lot of damage on both sides. I should expect a very high takedown game, which is very exciting. No one really likes fancy-prancy chess games of thought, so this is something I'm happy to see. So we'll get loaded here in just a moment, and we'll bring you some ultra-violence here on Towers of Doom. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere.
Ready for action!
And we are live on Towers of Doom for some Week 5 Chair League action. My name's Terra Spaz, bringing to you a matchup between the mighty Cucks and we might have
A hero has left the battle.
we will have things get sorted out here in just a moment as we have Tyrannus on Luxorian Sun. Having some sort of difficulties. Looks like that's been resolved though. On the blue team for the mighty Cucks, we have Angus Tabifi on Johanna, Lebo on Li Ming, Action on Sergeant Hammer, Vultures on Ariel, and Soon on Alarak. And for Luxorian Sun, we have Bay State on Muradin, Thinhead on Thrall, Lexultan on Brightwing, Tyrannus on Vala, and Alex on Zagara. The gates are down, teams are racing headstrong into the middle of each other here in the mid lane, and so far trying to set up an engagement here. Johanna trying to catch out Muradin, who takes just a detonating amount of damage but is able to jump to safety. Sergeant Hammer just in position to make sure that Luxorian Sun can't engage on them, but no initial takedowns off the go. Thrall already in position, soaking up some experience here in the middle to give them just the ever so slight lead. And it looks like we're going to have big rotations here between mid and bottom. Johanna and Muradin just constantly interlocked in a dance of death between them. So here in the bottom lane, we've got Alarak and Johanna going up against Vala, Brightwing, and Muradin. So far, no big engagement. I'd be fairly surprised to get a strong takedown here. Here in mid, we've got Zagara going toe-to-toe against Li Ming. Zagara should have largely the upper hand here. Li Ming not being able to do a great job dealing with the creep spread of Zagara. So Zagara should be able to build a nice creep spread if that continues. And in the top lane, we'll keep action focused on the bottom as best as we can. We've got Sergeant Hammer going toe-to-toe against Thinhead's Thrall. This should be a fairly close match, largely reliant on Sergeant Hammer's positioning. Johanna here in the bottom lane taking a great deal of damage, falling to perilous health, and she will have to hearth away to make sure she's in position to be useful for that shrine fight, which should be popping up here in just a few seconds.
The altars rise again.
So good awareness from Johanna, knowing when those objectives are going to pop and how and the importance of her being there. I mean, she is the only real frontline big blocker for the mighty Cucks, and so her presence is not optional. It is required if they want to take any sort of large engagement. Shrines popping in just a few seconds. Mighty Cucks trying to set up a bush of doom here. Sergeant Hammer going very low on health. Will have to play very safely, but does manage to retreat to safety. Mighty Cucks solidly picking up their shrine on their side of the map. Luxorian Sun easily securing bottom, and so the fight's going to be on Luxorian sides of the map. 4v3 for the moment, but reinforcements are hot en route, as it's going to be a full 5-on-5 brawl with Angus Tabifi's Johanna just dropping fairly low. Brightwing trying to get the channel off, and such low health pools for the side of Mighty Cucks, and I don't think they're going to have the sustain to take this. Sergeant Hammer dropping just so low, but so far no takedowns. Good positioning, good awareness from both teams to make sure they exerted as much influence as they could on the fight without surrendering themselves to death. So well played on both teams. Meanwhile, a quick look around the map at structures. Here in the mid lane, both sets of towers and walls are at fairly high health pools, no huge damage. However, Luxorian Sun's doing a good job pushing here on bottom. They should easily secure one of the two towers on the wall, and that'll give them a bit of a chunk of experience. And oh no, it's got a sliver of health left, so that tower will live to fight another day. But somebody who might not live is Ariel, who gets quite a bit of damage, quite a bit of stuns delivered from Luxorian Sun, and she's going to retreat with just a sliver of health and no real means to heal herself. So she's either going to have to risk staying in the fight or retreating to a fountain, and it looks like that's what she's going to do. She gets enough health to get her out of immediate danger, so she'll be able to build up that energy pool quickly very well. Down in the bottom lane, Luxorian Sun trying to finish off that push into the defenses of Mighty Cucks, and Mighty Cucks are defending this tower with everything they've got. It's got just a fraction of health left, but the team's coming down to rally for it, and it looks like it is going to finally get taken out by minions. A nominal experience lead, but both teams at level 7 with that talent here, so this should be a fairly even and violent fight with both teams at relatively full strength and in position. Thrall getting chased out, no huge damage on him. He should be in good position for the fight. Sergeant Hammer set up. Thrall thinking about coming in behind. Doesn't quite want to risk the one-way trip to Pain Town. And so far, it looks like the engagement's going in favor of the Mighty Cucks. Most of the damage being delivered out from them, which is what they're aiming to do. But there's way too much poke potential to secure this channel, and I think somebody's going to have to pay for this shrine with blood if it's going to be taken. Muradin's health dropping quite low. Sergeant Hammer's dropping fairly low as well, and Mighty Cucks just hugging this shrine with everything they've got, just forming a nice solid ball. Muradin going in there hard and deep, not able to get the takedown himself. Alarak able to escape at fairly low health. Muradin recharges his health as well. Alarak almost, he does. Alarak completes the channeling, and that will tie this matchup 32-32. Still no takedowns, and that, despite what appears to be a substantial amount of damage on both sides. I mean, it's not like we're playing double warrior or double support here. I mean, Luxorian Sun showing Thrall, Vala, Zagar. I mean, these are all heroes that can pump out quite a bit of damage, but not able to get the takedowns they want just yet. So if they can't kill heroes, Luxorian Suns decide, well, we're just gonna beat up your buildings. And so a big push here coming down through top lane. They're certainly going to get this wall and both these towers. Are they going to go for more with only Alarak here to defend? Not wanting to overcommit. Looks like the rotation's going to come down here to the bottom lane where Mighty Cucks are completing a big push of their own. Haven't gotten quite the same level of damage out, but they did manage to pick up their siege camp in the middle of this, and Sergeant Hammer can be very effective in protecting them if she's positioned to do so. But there's just too much range damage from Luxorian Sun to really escort them into the red zone. More credit to Zgara for building a fairly good creep network in the middle of the map, which is very crucial if you're trying to monitor rotations from top to bottom or from mid to anywhere. So that's going to give her a nice early warning system to any heroes that come up. Although she is extended a bit far forward here, does manage to dodge the Johanna Condemn and get to safety. So it should be a fairly standard grab here for both teams. Bit of an engagement here in the middle, but far away from the Hammer and Brightwing channeling their respective shrine. Big sundering goes out from Thrall. Unfortunately, it is going to cost him his life to do so, but both teams do pick up their shrines, and we are tied at 28 with Luxorian Sun, despite surrendering the first takedown of the game, realizing a fairly nominal experience advantage. They got about a half-level lead, and doesn't mean a whole lot at this stage of the game just yet. It should equalize towards the end. Muradin here getting sussing out what Mighty Cucks are going to do. Don't know if he was trying to scout them out or just ran into trouble, but he's going to take a great deal of damage and have to be removed from the fight for just a short amount of time here. Well, no huge action on the map here. Muradin at critically low health, but knowing his limits, trying to draw as much attention from Sergeant Hammer as he can, knowing that Thrall can easily take her if he can get in range. Back to the mid lane. Still, what's notable here is that both teams are still fairly well spread out. Teams haven't really grouped up and gone for any single objectives yet. We should see that transition at some point soon in the match. But Vala here might be getting a bit caught out. Takes a bunch of damage from from Vala with Sergeant Hammer's big shot, taking out the last of her health pool. So as we go into Shrines, Vala is going to be absent for this first round, and Luxorian Sun has a tough choice to make. Most of their resources are tied up, entangled here in mid. Muradin and I take that. Muradin, Brightwing, and Thrall do escape to bottom. So Zagara is going to try to delay this as long as possible, but is not going to be able to get past Ariel. So Luxorian Sun have a very short window to try to secure this bottom one before Zagara and Vala can arrive, and I don't think they're going to be able to pull that up against the full force of the Mighty Cucks, as Thrall is taken down, not able to escape. Mighty Cucks doing a good job of rotating down there in time to get that takedown. Huge damage going down against Alarak, but he will survive. And Mighty Cucks pull ahead 28-20 as we cross the 10-minute mark. Both teams at level 12. That experience advantage from Luxorian Sun now equalized and slightly in favor of Mighty Cucks. And Operation Hammer is starting to pay dividends here. They can, Mighty Cucks can just sit in this position, and as long as no one's health falls too low, they're going to be able to mow through this fort without much issue. Oh, unfortunate use of Sundering there, just going right underneath an unstoppable Johanna. That's hopefully not going to be too big of an issue. We should be a fair bit away from a team fight for a while yet, with Mighty Cucks largely retreating to safety here. So while that's said, I mean, the core advantage is certainly in favor of Mighty Cucks with an 8-point health lead, but in terms of battlefield control, that's still solidly in the hand of Luxorian Sun. They've got the top at mid lane fairly well pushed. They're starting to threaten damage on mid. They're starting to threaten damage on top, and there's not a whole lot of defense here in bottom either. So while they're certainly not in the lead in terms of the thing you need to do to win the game, Luxorian Sun's by no means out of this. I mean, they've got one of my favorite parts of Towers of Doom is that as long as your core health is at 1, you're just as much in this game as if your core health was at 20. But they need to structure some team fights better, and being on the run 4v5 isn't really the best way to pull this off. Shrines are going to be active fairly soon, so the plan may be to stall and delay until Zagara can pick one up. But Li Ming taking a great deal of damage here, able to sit and survive. Ariel pops her shield just in time to protect her health. Sundering's going to isolate her, though, and take her out. So first takedown in favor of Luxorian Sun, but they will be in full retreat here. As they have mission accomplished. They have done exactly what they needed to do. They've tied up the Mighty Cucks long enough to secure their shrine, and they're going to start going to work on the Mighty Cucks' side as well, which they managed to do. So they get to the top 2 shrines and a takedown. So a colossal pickup for Luxorian Sun, and they can maybe hold on to this and get the clean sweep. But Sergeant Hammer looks like she's going to be able to pick this up for the Mighty Cucks. But that's what Luxorian Sun needed to do there to find a way back into the game. Unfortunately, Thrall getting caught out by Alarak there, and that's might just be one of the tricky things with Alarak. It's easy to forget how he moves people across the battlefield. He can propel himself outward, or he can propel you to him, and that's not if you're not mindful of his abilities, that's something you can easily get caught up in. So Zagara is setting up the network, worms in top, mid, and bottom, easily able to rotate around wherever she wants to go on the map. And Mighty Cucks saying, you know what, we've got a talent tier, we're gonna go get a building, and there's not a whole lot you can do to stop us. Luxorian Sun not in great position to prevent the loss of this fort in mid. And they're kind of on the clock with this, because Mighty Cucks somehow and all that managed to secure bottom, with Vala and Muradin trying to deal with that. So that is 1 structure remaining for Luxorian Sun. And they have to be real careful here. If they suffer large casualties, this could put them in a very disastrous situation. And they're getting awfully close to that as they surrender 3 heroes for nothing to the Mighty Cucks. And so Mighty Cucks rotate top, trying to They realize they're likely not getting free core shots from this. Vala and Murd in the bottom lane do quickly secure a building to keep match point from occurring, and it looks like they may even be a little bit late to this shrine. If Murd and Vala had been standing there ready to go, they may have rewarded themselves with this channeling as is. I would have been awfully close. It's hard to tell, but as it stands, heroes down. It may not have been worth the risk. Their core will fall to 11, which is still a reasonably healthy, core total. And they're doing a nice job cleaning up all the rest of their buildings. So, despite what looked like a fairly disastrous moment for Luxorian Sun, they were able to stabilize on the battlefield, getting all 4 of their buildings back, or all 3 of their buildings back, rather. And looking to try and do some damage of their own. Mighty Cucks pushing in on bottom here. No one on Luxorian Sun remotely close to stop this. So they say the best defense is a good offense. So rather than try and race back and save what's certainly a doomed building, Mighty Cucks or Luxorian Sun says, you know what, we're just gonna get our building back, but on your side of the map. And that's how we'll elect to stay equalized. However, Mighty Cucks were able to escort a siege camp in, so that wasn't quite an even exchange as it appeared from the front. They do get 3 more core shots, which 8 is a very different number from 11. If you assume that every shrine is at parity and represents 4 cannon shots, then all Mighty Cucks need to do is secure 1 more shrine and find an opportunity to take the boss, and they will close this game out. Shrine's active in 20 seconds. Mighty Cucks will easily clean up this top building. Luxorian Sun looks like they're going to attempt to clean up this bottom one here. They should get it in time. So the contest point's likely going to be here in mid. As Mighty Cucks race down Murden, trying to delay and stall this as long as possible. But nobody quite in position to channel and take this down. As is. So Vala and Murden doing what they can to delay and hold and stall. Brightwing in the bottom lane will quickly secure the shrine for Luxorian Sun. And so the fight is going to be here in the bottom with Murden taking an absolutely obscene amount of damage. He's going to have to race back and find some help from the fountain. Sergeant Hammer delayed by Zagara from there. Vala barely escapes from the menacing presence of Alarak. And it looks like Mighty Cucks have a firm foothold on this shrine. The Luxorian Sun trying to continue to delay, continue to stall, but it's just not quite going to be enough as Sergeant Hammer does get the pickup. And Luxorian Sun drops to 4 core health. And maybe losing Zagara here as well. She's trying to find an escape route, trying to dodge the range of Hammer, and does manage to do so. Notably, Alarak also at fairly low health, so this isn't all gumdrops and roses. Vala in position to try and just throw out some damage once she gets an opportunity, and she's going in. Here comes the engagement from Luxorian Sun, chasing away Mighty Cucks. Alarak Polymorph just eating up a damage sandwich as she does deliver the takedown to Ariel, and Alarak falls soon after. Vala is going to pay for that with her life. Johanna has to pop her ultimate. Everybody at such low health except for Zagara, and Vala's already been dead, but Johanna's going to be taken down as well, and it's a great turnaround from Luxorian Sun. They get a 3-for-1, and possibly more, but not quite. They get a 3-for-1 and a building, and that's the foothold they need to plant themselves back in this game. There is no more margin for error, and Luxorian Sun is aware of it. It's going to be all aggression all the time. There's no more fights they can surrender. And fortunately or unfortunately for them, it's only 1 shrine here at the bottom. And it's worth noting that this is not the most obvious scenario for Luxorian Sun. Not sure what the party bush here is up top for the Mighty Cucks. It's I don't know if they're just trying to get a Zagara takedown, and that looks like it's going to be the plan. Hammer, Li Ming, and Ariel are just certainly going to kill this Zagara with 0 chance of escaping. So they will get the takedown and the man advantage, and they surrender. They surrender that tribute, and they're going for the win. They're going for boss. They know they need 4. They can count to 4, and 4 equals 4. And so this is going to be the fight for Luxorian Sun to stay alive in this game. They're fully aware of what's happening as the boss drops in. We've got the last stand at the point. Muradin goes in. Huge damage coming out. Ariel detonated immediately. Sundering and Vala do a nice job just cleaning up the members of the Mighty Cucks. And it's a complete team wipe as the health total of Mighty Cucks falls to 1. And so it is officially game match point for Luxorian Sun. If they can escort any amount of damage onto their core, that's going to be it. And they've got their eyes firmly focused on the top lane. They've got a full half minute of time to do whatever they want on the map. And it looks like the order of the day is just going to be to take this fort here in the mid. And that will secure all 6 buildings for Luxorian Sun. Mighty Cucks still just unable to claim that last one. And that cannon shot, as it streaks across the map, is going to be the last shot of the game. What an amazing comeback from Luxorian Sun. It seemed like, oh man, it seemed like just for such a large portion of the game, whenever a team fight presented itself, Luxorian Sun was on the bottom end of that. They couldn't break, they couldn't break that damage output of Hammer, and they didn't have any way to really get through the front line to stop that. Mighty Cucks did just a wonderful job in positioning. They did a wonderful job setting up the engagements throughout that fight they needed to overcome an experience deficit, to plow ahead into to plow ahead into the lead. But and it really looked grim there at the end for Luxorian Sun. I mean, Mighty Cucks were in position to just totally engulf Zagara, just get a savage takedown, and then rotate the boss with a full 5-power team. And Luxorian Sun was down by all metrics in that fight. They were late to arrive to it, at the boss rather. They were late to arrive. They were a man down. Some of their finishing power from Zagara wasn't going to be available, but they did have knowledge, and they had surprise. And at least in this engagement, that was at least worth 1 heroes. They were able to fully team wipe the Mighty Cucks, secure the 4 shots of their own, and then go on to win the game. So a colossal match on Towers of Doom, and that's really why I love this map. It really is never over until your core is at 0. It's so easy to turn around, and the end of the game ended with the Mighty Cucks down all of their buildings, and Luxorian Sun was very close to that same scenario. They were their top was gone, their bottom was gone, and mid was being threatened fairly severely. So that was it's a huge turnaround and a great stand from Luxorian Sun. So well played from both teams. It was an excellent match, but unfortunately there is only 1 W. And today that W goes to Luxorian Sun. So congratulations. I've got another match coming up here in about 20 minutes or so. So I'm going to go take a break, have a nice adult beverage, and I'll rejoin you here in a bit. My name's Terraspaz, and I'll see y'all on the Nexus. Take care.